Hey everybody, welcome into the Horseshoe Lounge. It's time for the podcast live experience at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. We are, 10 days, 9 days? How many? I don't know. The opener's coming. Ohio State, Notre Dame.
I think maybe 11.
I don't know. I can't do math at this point. It's all a blur.
12.
It's a training camp grind. Zach Boren is back.
It's been a while.
It's good to see you, my
Thanks
friend.
for being
Good
here,
to see
Zach.
you too.
We know
Thanks
you
for
work
having
really
me.
hard. It's so sweet.
No, it's okay. I finally got an invite this week. It's nice, you know.
Well, I mean, Zach, it's tough when you're in Florida all the time to do these remotely. You know, we could Zoom you in.
Well,
Bob, I don't even know the last time I've been in Florida. I think I've been to Florida maybe twice this entire year.
He was in Italy for 2 weeks.
It was
Oh,
a two.
I was in Italy for 2
It was
weeks.
a-
I
It
was.
looked amazing.
A lengthy honeymoon. Congratulations to Zach.
Yes.
Thank you.
All grown up and married. Congratulations to you both. That's Bobby Carpenter. You know him. Nicole Cox is over here. She's back. Had several people say, "Where's Nicole?"
Aw, so nice.
What? She's back for one show and then she just disappears.
I know. We were getting ready for our annual golf outing. It was taking up a
I
lot
heard
of
you
time.
were unloading those boats out in the port to make sure we get all of our food for the appetizers. So we don't have to tell people at participating locations or a surprise.
Well, guys, I do want to make you aware that we apparently have a fry shortage coming, and it's a
What?
pretty serious fry shortage.
They already know that it's
I
coming?
learned.
Like,
Oh yeah, like I
there's
learned
fry
about it last
forecasters
week.
out there? Like,
I learned about it last week. It's
Oh.
going to be intense. Like, for
A
instance, we're
fry
getting all
shortage.
of our fries. So our supplier, who is amazing, they participate in our golf outing. I was actually talking to them last week, and I'm not quite sure how it happened, but they are getting us every single box of fries possible out of all their inventory. Then we're going to go to, like, whether it's shoestring fries, we'll take anything. And they're still planning on everything kind of going out of stock. So luckily we have wedges and tater tots.
Maybe
But-
even bring some chips in.
Yeah, I know. That's a very great suggestion. I'm going to bring that up for the 1 millionth time, and hopefully it
Could be
sticks.
a spoiler alert for this week's episode.
That would be really cool, though. I am going to bring it up again.
Hey,
Jay-Z is
I like
not
it.
going to be very happy about missing this week. I will say that.
I know.
I'm Austin Ward, and then Byrne will be in here later on. We'll talk a lot more football as we go along. But Nicole first has to update us on another massive gift for the Roosters Foundation.
Yes.
And another successful golf tournament.
Yes. So we just had the greatest day on Friday. So we've had the same sponsors year after year. We actually were oversold by one team, and it's been like that every year, which has become difficult, but it's a great problem to have. I've got to talk about a few things. One, huge thanks to the Boren brothers on sponsoring our golf outing and
Wait,
give
is that
us.
why Zach's here this week?
Oh,
You just wanted
That's
to
the
get-
only reason.
He just happens
I
to
did.
be here, and guess what? It just checks it off my list because I had a picture to show him of his event boxes that instead of me carrying 85 things of cardboard to the dumpster, 85 different trips, it was one trip because I could just put them all in the event box he gave us, which was amazing. Their support means the world, and you guys know how I am about efficiency, that I love, like, being able to do one thing while another thing is getting done.
I didn't know that about Nicole.
Oh,
This
you
is-
guys. So I'm going to tell you the greatest story. So I pull into the Golf Club of Dublin the week before we do our outing, and I see across the parking lot this, like, setup of these people, and I'm like, I think I know exactly what this is. I walk over. They're a detailing shop. And I go,
Detail your
what
car,
a
yeah.
phenomenal marketing strategy to park at a golf course parking lot and have your car detailed while you're golfing, because I would never take my car to get detailed,
Right.
like, and me just sit there. That would never happen. And so I said to them, come out for our golf outing. Well, they actually heard an interview. Later, they heard an interview I was doing with Skip Mossick on The Fan about how much our golf outing has raised over, $1 million for the fight against cancer. And they called and they were like, we had no idea it was this big. We'd like to donate 10% of proceeds back from the day of our outing. So
right.
it's no H2O.
Nice.
The sweetest people. I got my car detailed. Life-changing. I love it. And so
Life-changing.
it
That
was-
is
It
huge
is
praise,
kind
Nicole.
of
Guys,
life changing.
when you're a mom-
when you get in a car and it's
Oh,
detailed, it's nice.
And I have, like, stinky boys in my car all the time, and, like, all their grass on their shoes. It looked great. And then I loaded it full of golf outing stuff, but it still looks pretty clean.
You know what you could do for the French fry shortage? You should talk to the detailers when they get those French fries out that you find underneath.
Just
Collect.
You probably repurpose
Collect.
those and reuse them back in, and they're nice and
throw
crunchy.
them in
Oh,
the
yeah.
throw 'em in the fryers again
Yeah.
one more time. They're good.
Just freshen them up a little bit.
Yeah, so they were amazing. And then we had a new sponsor this year, Express Pros. They had golfed year after year, and he's like, I just love this so much. I want to be a sponsor. And it was just really sweet. Great people. So feeling great. Just when you're surrounded by wonderful companies and wonderful people that are all about the cause, that's what it's about.
Well,
This is the cause that I'm about. Appetizer Tuesday, $2. Featured appetizer at Roosters on Tuesday. Featured appetizer this week, one that I've never even had. Look at these.
onion feathers.
Onion feathers. Oh my God.
Bobby, you sound so
I've
great
never had
talking
these.
about these.
I've never had them before.
We should pay you to endorse these.
This is what
For sure.
Well,
this is
Just
what I
add-
said.
Just add it to the companies. Bob's just,
that's so good.
I said to Nicole, I don't believe that there's anything on the Roosters menu that I haven't had yet.
But
And then she
sauce is
says,
good.
wait a second. Have you had onion feathers? I said no.
They're good.
So today
Were
we're
they
doing-
gone for a
The
while?
plucking sauce.
And it's pluckin sauce
Yeah.
that you've got to get. How's
It's
the
good.
pluckin sauce
It's
going
good.
down?
The sauce brings it home.
Yeah, the sauce is the best.
How much is that on Tuesday?
$2.
$2 on Tuesdays.
That's a good
yes.
deal. I gave everyone 1 year off where they could compete at the golf tournament and hope to win because I wasn't there, but
I know.
that's not going to happen again.
Okay.
I'll be back.
You better be there next year,
Yeah, I
Austin.
won't-
We missed you.
I won't miss it. It's the best one. Nicole does a phenomenal job.
Team effort for sure.
Nicole
Our entire
and her team.
Eric,
Nicole and her team,
Jacqueline,
that's
Laura.
right.
Yeah. No, I just had to call them out because they're the best. I
Okay.
just love them.
Okay. Buckeye
Mhm.
leaves.
Buckeye leaves.
Let's get
Okay.
into football. We're
You guys go first.
next
What if we
Saturday.
steal your
week from
person?
Saturday. Yeah. What if
You
they're
won't.
reading your notebook?
Mine's on
and-
here.
And Bobby's
Mine's
not
on here.
prepared.
Can you see it?
Okay.
Okay. So you won't steal mine.
Who, Bob, have you seen or heard has had a camp that is worthy of a Buckeye leaf?
Gosh, I could probably schlegel this thing and go
I
through
thought
one
you
at-
might. Let's
Oh,
maybe
I was-
Zach
I
should
was
go
just-
Let
first.
Zach
No,
go.
I was just about to say I'm going to schlegel this. So go ahead.
There's a number of guys you could go with. I think, gosh, you look around at all the different position groups. I would probably say mine.
If you tee it up by saying, "Look at all the position groups,"
Yeah.
that's a Schlegel move.
It is,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna hone in on one because it was out of necessity that he was there. Cade isn't your guy, is he?
Nope.
Okay, good. For a number of reasons. Cade Stover bounced around. He's done a lot. Nominated as captain. I think as you look at the captains, you've got Tommy Eichenberg and CJ, the signal callers on both defense and offense, but everyone else has kind of been guys who've been injured or like gone through some struggle, position changes. And that's why, like, looking at Cade Stover, came in as a linebacker, moved to tight end, came back to linebacker last year, defensive end, the jack position in the spring, and then like, hey, you know what, midway through spring, probably not going to play as much here as I'd like. We need you at tight end. Come on over, big fella. We'll see what we can do. And he's going to be their starting tight end. And I'm going to tell you this. It would not shock me if he ends up being an all Big Ten player at tight end, and he's going to probably get drafted. He is a big dude. He's fast. He's more athletic than people think. He worked his butt off all season long, every day. You know why? Because the cows have to get fed every day.
Cows don't take days off.
Cows don't take days off. He grew up on the farm out of Lexington. You know what? So they don't take days off. Neither does he. And then did a great job in camp. And he's a leader. And he's a tough son of a gun. And then Saturday, they had the big 100th anniversary of the shoe event to help promote the cohesion for the NIL and all these different things. And so some of the players came. And Cade got drafted to sit front and center. I'm not even sure whose table he was at, but he was right under the podium. Well, the players were only required to be there for an hour. A lot of the other guys were able to kind of peel off and slither out the back.
Cade's sitting there
And poor
till it ends.
Cade is sitting there right underneath the podium with nowhere to go. I tried to get him a drink. He wouldn't take one. He said that the coaches said they were allowed, but they told him to be responsible. I'm like, listen, man, like it's like 8:00 on a Saturday night. They've had
You
camp
just
for
got
2 weeks.
you just got dismissed from
Yes.
the hotel.
And he just sat there the whole time. So he was
To Bob, that means tequila specials. Just take them down.
It really was. Like, hey, enjoy it. We're here for you guys. You're more social, more entertaining. He sat there like a champ, did everything.
That's
Listen-
awesome.
listen,
I
Coop-
love this guy.
My man, Coach Coop, was supposed to talk for 3 minutes. He talked for 25. But it was about the most entertaining 25 minutes that you're going to hear. Tress was fantastic. And then Ryan Day obviously brought it home. But Cade sat there like a champion the whole time, did not try to slither out, knew his place, that everybody was right there looking at him. And on top of being a great player and a great dude. And I'm trying to figure out a way I can go hang out with him, Steele, and Tommy, because I want to know what that house is like and what they actually talk
Yeah,
about.
Very lively. I don't think they talk at all.
No, there's not a chance.
Just-
All of them are mutes.
Just 3 dudes sitting in a living room staring at each other.
Basically. There you go, Zach.
I like it. So I am gonna schlegel this a little bit.
Let's go.
And it's my first show back in a while, so I'm allowed
Got
to.
a lot of pent up analysis. to
If this was early on in camp, I would have said Jordan Hancock because I know early on in camp he was playing really well. The coaches expect a lot out of him. I still think he's going to be a guy this year to watch, but obviously he's been battling some injuries the past couple weeks. So the other two guys I'm going to go with are one, Court Williams. It's a guy that has battled injuries early on in his career, but, a guy from California who brings so much to the table to this defense, especially with the way Jim Knowles can be able to throw different guys around. Court's can be able to go to safety, to linebacker, be able to do different things. And then for him to be named captain, for a guy who hasn't really played, I mean, that just goes to show the guy's character, right? What his teammates think about him. And then number one, I think my biggest Buckeye leaf is going to Tommy Eichenberg. And I think, the linebacker corps has been under fire for the past couple of years. Even us, right? We've singled them out.
Yes.
Yeah, we've singled them out multiple times. But the way Tommy Eichenberg played in the Rose Bowl last year, the way he's handled the offseason, being named a captain, and then Jim Knowles just coming out and saying he's never had a middle linebacker understand the defense this quickly. And I don't think everyone realizes what Jim Knowles' defense is going to be like. It's going to be a lot like Jeff LaMonaco's defense at Pick Central, where they're throwing different things at you at all times. That's a great analysis, Bobby. And I know you know that one. So, they're going to be in 3 down, 4 down. They were even talking today that they're going to have some dime packages, which we haven't seen in a long time at Ohio State. And so you need someone in the middle to understand everything, to make the defense whole, and that's what you got in Tommy Eichenberg.
I'm excited to see him play. I like
We
it.
got Cade Stover energy. We got some Tommy Eichenberg.
Well, I love
Williams
Cade
energy.
Stover because of this discussion of him just taking one for the team, sitting there, knowing it was the appropriate thing to do, and just being
Learning
a part of.
Learning how many interceptions that Bob had in his career.
Yeah.
No, they didn't talk about Bob's interceptions.
Well,
they just talk about Bob's behaviors off the football field Saturday night. That's all they talked about.
That was it.
So that's why Cade was like,
I'm
was
so
scared.
bummed I
Like,
missed it.
Don't let them talk about me that way.
He was protecting his reputation. So I think Cade just sounds amazing. I love to hear how much hard work he's putting into all of this. And again, I'm going to go with, how I feel about the leaders. And I think I just watching CJ Stroud grow over these past few years. I mean, I think back to our first show talking about him and just everybody talking, is he going to be as good as Fields? There's no way, and watching him and the confidence and how well he speaks to the media, and he had the most votes to be captain. I mean, it just shows how much his team looks up to him. And as quarterback, I feel like they have to deal with so much criticism, and being able to kind of filter through that.
Yeah, but you get all the girls, you get all the good stuff.
That's
too
true.
now.
That's true.
The big
Bob.
TV,
But
deals.
also, wait a minute, also having to deal with all that,
The good
having
and
to
bad.
deal with the girls, with all of that. That's
Low money,
they've got
problems.
to. Yeah, I guess that's a way to look at it. I guess.
Well, he has a
But
lot on his plate for sure.
he has a lot on his plate.
Don't think
Let's
about
just
the
leave it at that.
girls at the top, but
Yeah.
it's certainly part of the pyramid.
I just think it could really mentally mess with you, and for him to be able to kind of filter through all of that and still be a great leader. And I don't feel he's become too big for his britches, as I like to say. Like, I'm like 80 years old, but he's just a team player, and I love seeing that.
You guys just went for the captains, just low-hanging fruit.
There's
I
a
gave
couple
you Jordan
left.
Hancock.
You did.
There's a couple left.
I know. I don't
You
want to.
threw in Tommy Eichenberg as well.
I did. I took 2 captains, but
I think it's
there's
fine.
6.
I
There's
didn't
6
want to.
total.
So the Blocko winner, he deserves one, but not for the reason, not because he's had a great camp, but because he has to deal with another setback. Not major at this point.
Minor. I was so happy to see that.
I mean, it was scary. You and I were talking about that a week ago at this time. What's it going to happen? They had to have an MRI that night. What's it going to reveal? Didn't sound good. Didn't look good. People were worried just because of his history that it was going to be a major deal. But Cameron Babb, it's a minor knee injury this time, not a major one. He's going to be out for a couple more weeks. He's going to miss the start of the season. But by his standards, this is about the first time he's really got good news with his health. And you say that on a sliding scale for him. But he's been so relentless and so hardworking and refusing to back down and attacking every rehab, one after another, gets that Blocko honor, and then 2 days later still has to deal with yet another injury deal. You just hope that at some point he gets the opportunity to go out there in the horseshoe, score a touchdown, let the emotions pour out of him. He's going to have that opportunity, it sounds like now. And there was a real chance and probably some hours last Monday where he thought that it wouldn't. So the way he's continued to be around the team and work so that he's ready to go in the middle of September. Hopefully, you just have to tip.
I just want to watch him catch a ball in a game.
Just one.
I really can't wait to see that for him.
It'll be an amazing moment for sure. So he deserves some credit for that, even though he's had the last week where he's going through something he's had a lot of times. The way he keeps his head up for all that is really impressive. So that'll be my Buckeye leave. I try to just get Nicole to cry with that one, but it came up short. Berm needed to do it.
I'm telling you guys, I love hearing all these stories. I mean, these are the guys I'm looking at.
You want to be there to cry. Watching him walk in the next day from the MRI with his mom, like waiting to get the news. That was emotional because he is such a great kid, young man, not kid.
Yeah,
he's been through
here
more,
a while.
Yes,
he's been through more things in his 4-year, 5-year, whatever he's been here now than most people go through in their life as far as injuries.
About a dozen years, it feels like at this point. Nicole, what's next? Now the golf tournament's in the rearview mirror.
Guys, it's football season. We have, I know, it was a busy week last week.
Yeah.
Buckeye Bowl trip starts next week.
Ooh.
The giveaway.
Oh,
Yep.
really? How
12
does that work?
trips.
12 trips, 2 people,
Oh my god.
airfare, hotel.
Yeah.
That 12
Games?
trips for 2 people?
Yeah.
24
12
folks.
trips for 2 people.
Oh
Every
my-
game
or
week.
24 solo
Mhm.
trips, Bob. For you. I know you were doing that math in your head.
I think you
Wait, don't
win-
say that because they pull one name a week.
Pull one.
That's it.
You pull one name a
we-
week. You win as a pair.
We actually do know how it works. Roosterswings.com.
So that starts next week, roosterswings.com. And we're excited to get that started.
Even better, just come into Roosters.
Yes, you can come into,
person.
exactly.
It's a smart way
You
to do
can
it.
register online. You don't even need to come in, but if you do, we love that.
Can you register while you're in here? Do
Yes.
you have paper registrations?
We will have paper
That's
registrations.
amazing.
We have a QR code. Yes.
Oh gosh, that's so.
Mhm.
Way to really just make it easy.
We
for
just
folks.
we try to make it easy for everyone. We
I
really
like
like
it.
to do that. We're a fun, casual place. We like to keep it simple.
I think the secret is if you come on Tuesdays for Appetizer Tuesday.
Appetizer Tuesday,
That's-
guys. Onion
out-
feathers.
I haven't done the research, but people who register on Tuesdays, I think, always win.
They always win.
I'm not sure about
Always.
that. But
So what
yeah.
happens when they go to the Final Four and the national championship?
So we just go
So the
to
first-
the
Final Four.
You can't
Yeah.
schedule the second game because if you don't
Yeah.
win the first, then
exactly.
It's one
So we
game
go
at
to
a
that
time.
It's a
game.
confidence booster, Bob. You know?
It is. It is. People would love that, but we go to the game
You should
before that.
You should let them bet on it.
Oh,
I'm gonna.
we thought about that one time,
Oh,
and then it would
gosh.
just be too complicated to
No.
figure out where else we'd send them instead.
Yeah,
So
that's tough. That's
don't
tough.
worry,
I'm
we've
just
thought
an
about
I'm
it.
just an ideas man over here.
I love it. I love the ideas, guys. Keep them coming.
By the way, I know you're a big golf guy,
Yeah,
Austin. The
I am.
passing of Tom Weiskopf today. Buckeye.
Hey,
By the way-
major influence on the golf world, not just for, I believe it was 15 career victories, ton of runners up.
He
the
came.
majors.
So this is amazing. I learned this today. I think Shark told me this. He won the British Open.
Yep.
In like '73, I think. He came in here right after Jack at Ohio State. Goes pro. He finished, I believe, runner-up at the Masters 4 times.
Four
Maybe
times.
4. All to Jack. All
Oh,
to,
Oh
all
my
to Jack.
gosh.
I mean, you want to talk about painful? That would be really tough.
Well, that's when people talk about how competitive this era is. You have to go up against the guy who won more majors than anybody else time
Yeah.
after time
Mhm.
and come up short. Your career would have looked very different. Also, a great golf course designer,
Yeah.
and he really helped popularize in some ways without even knowing it by designing the 16th at TPC Scottsdale. One of my favorite
Party
places
hole?
to go. Yeah, the party hole. He didn't put
Did
out.
he have that in
He didn't
mind?
say, let's put up an arena. Like that wasn't what he had in
He
mind.
didn't
but
have like keg taps plumbed up
Did-
in right
that
on the
wasn't-
outside.
now, I mean, maybe I'll give him,
I've been there before, played it, close to
I'll
it.
give him some credit for that. But it was always built as a way that you would have the arena environment, and that has become far and away the most popular event on the PGA Tour. Huge attendance. One of my favorites. I've been several times to it. The scene is unmatched, and then he was part of that as well. So all kinds of influence on the golf world, and he will be missed for sure.
4 runners up at the green, watching Jack in the green jacket. That would, when I heard that, I'm like, to the same guy, the greatest. If you're going to lose to someone,
Somebody make
losing
it
to him.
Now,
but
see, that's where I feel the standard is the standard doesn't apply.
Mm.
I really believe that. I mean, technically, he was up against the best player of all time.
yeah.
You
And
know,
the guy who he followed here. I mean, he was right a couple years
Yeah.
after Jack here. So
so
An
I
exception
didn't
to the
know that.
standard being the standard.
Couple Buckeyes.
I
didn't
think
know
the
that.
second place is like first place in that situation.
Oh,
I do. I do.
Just when I thought Nicole was going to go back to work, she wanted to go into a standard is the standard argument.
I just am very passionate about that.
I know. We've got a full season, okay? You don't have to do it all at once.
I can't wait.
We're going to let Nicole go about her day.
Thanks, guys.
Go raise some more money.
Thanks
for
for having me today. Thank you.
And make sure that the fry quick.
I'll keep you guys posted on the fries shortage. We'll see how that goes.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. Here at Roosters, it's Fun Casual Joy.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge. Let's really dive in to the X's and O's, boys. So close to kickoff. Jim Knowles said...
Not that close. We got one more show.
Okay, fine. Jim Knowles talked on Monday morning.
Why not? Everything else is.
Very insightful. He said he had no concerns at all about his defense.
I love that.
The normal coach speak answer is, I worry about everything. How are we going to get there? We need a pair and a spare. He didn't take any of those.
I need a pair and spare.
He needs.
Come on,
Tress. He didn't take any of those trestle options. Ryan Day's becoming much more adept at that coach speak as well. And Jim Knowles said, "No, I have no concerns," and he said it twice. What does that mean to you two, Silver Bullets?
That means he's got that big D energy right there.
Ooh.
He's feeling good. You know, he's seen his team.
Big defensive energy.
He's feeling good. He's seen his squad. He knows what they're about. He's got a good look at them. I don't think he would have said that after the spring. I don't think he would have said that after a week. I think after the scrimmage last Saturday, he probably realized, you know what, we're not going to be perfect. There'll be things that will pop up. But we also have a lot of guys that are tough. We've got a little bit of an edge. We've got some guys that will compete. We've had some injuries during camp, just small stuff, but it's also been a blessing because it's forced coaches to get young guys out there, get them competitive, especially in the back end. So that's been a big piece of it. And I think he understands, like, there's some really nice leadership on this team, and especially on the defensive side. And so his thing, and just talking to him Saturday night, like, we have to figure out what all these guys do really well, and then that's my job and our job as a staff to put them in that position where we're asking them to do what they do best most of the time.
I think he's got so much confidence because this is his first year, and he's
big energy.
He's being able to call plays with that talent, right? I mean, when he's at Oklahoma State, he takes them from 120th ranked defense or whatever it was to a top 5 defense with athletes that, let's be honest, shouldn't even be on the same field as Ohio State.
Well,
right?
Tanner McAllister's going to play for us.
Hey, Tanner McAllister's a great player, though, right? But that's one of 11. At Ohio State, you've got guys that can, I think the confidence has grown because, like Bob said, you're seeing some of these young guys get on the field in camp because they're forced to. At Oklahoma State, the backups come up, you're like, oh, we're in trouble. At Ohio State, next man up, and it's like, hey, these guys can really play, man. Like, I can be able to do some different things. I can take chances that I'm not used to taking. And so being able to kind of call plays with the athletes that you have and the depth that you have at a place like Ohio State, of course he's going to be super confident going into the season.
That's the way I see it. Like, this is a guy that is not used to having these sort of pieces to maneuver around. And maybe you go, well, hey, you could nitpick it and say there's this, we need to fix this, we need to work on. But this is a guy who was at Oklahoma State, was at Duke. When you have the talent Ohio State has, you can pretty much go, why would I have concerns? You have all these guys, all these pieces to play with. And certainly there's going to be some, small changes that have to happen here and there. But as Bob said, like, this offseason was about how tough are these guys. And I think that they've proven that over.
Edgy?
Build a callous. That's what Ryan Days continues to say, right?
Scars, edgy.
They want guys that have some toughness to them. And that was, as I said last week on the show, that was the entire question of last year. And I think this offseason and this fall camp so far has proven that that is there.
Get out that grade 5 sandpaper. Let's go to work, buddy.
I'm also excited to see Coach Knowles on the field, right? He goes in the horseshoe and just the way he calls plays. You see it a lot with Urban. You've seen it a lot with Ryan. They're kind of, but they're demeanors, right? When things start going a certain way, how do they respond to things? And I'm excited to see what Jim does when he dials something up and takes a big chance and it doesn't work out. How's he going to react when the Buckeyes do make a big play? Is he going to feed off of that? You know, he's not a young chicken, right?
Yeah.
But what kind of energy is he going to feed the defense? You know, you saw Fick for so many years in the way how animated he'd get when the defense made a big play, and he kind of called the game based on that. So I'm excited to just see Jim on the sidelines and kind of his mannerisms and what he does.
So I'm pretty certain he's going to be in the box. I'm not 100% positive on that.
I thought they just said he was on the
Is he
field.
going to be on the field?
Fick
Yeah.
was a young chicken.
He
Knowles
was.
is an older chicken.
Yeah.
No. I know. I thought they just announced that Knowles is going to be on the field.
Did they say that?
I haven't heard definitively, Zach, to be honest with you. I think
My
they were
expectation
talking-
is that he'll be in the box. That's mine.
That's what I had been rumored to be lurking around. And most coordinators call stuff from the box. Vic was kind of unique in that, where he liked to be down on the field, kind of in the action, because it gives you a much better vantage point of how you're able to see everything. But just like being in that stadium and seeing the energy and seeing the home field advantage and everything that you have. And that's one other thing, like with him, this opening game, these guys, they don't talk a whole lot. I mean, they're a quiet group. They're a quiet group. Now, Tommy has come a long way, but like it just
Has
can't
he?
be him. Yes,
I
from
don't
probably where he was.
Privately, sure.
Yeah, I mean where he was, but I'm like on the field, it is going to be insanely loud. I mean, you remember your senior year against Michigan. That's what I'm anticipating for this game, especially hopefully maybe the second half it's a little more of a relaxed, fun, casual environment, but early on, I feel like it'll be a fever pitch. If you start out the game on defense, like that could be a situation where nobody knows what's going on unless you're hand signaling at all, because you won't be able to hear a word.
I'm trying to think. Did you have any coaches that had come from smaller divisions, smaller conferences in college football?
Jim Tressel.
That when they got there, like, I mean, Jim Tressel obviously is an exception. He was a national championship winning coach.
I get what you're
You
saying.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
They have to learn anything.
I'm just curious about whether or not, like, we as outsiders would go, wow, that's a huge jump, you know? But I don't know that we always recognize how big of a difference there is talent-wise or like to like, you know? Do you think that matters? Or do you think that he's actually just still sitting back sometimes going, I can't believe
Well, it's not like
stuff?
I think he can't believe like the depth and the amount of players that you have. Like, all right, we've got all these players. And we're in Oklahoma State. It's probably all right. We've got these guys that are really good. These guys that can handle some things. Let's try to make sure our playmakers are always doing stuff. Where you have a lot of guys that can make plays, so you can be much more versatile, I think, in what you can do. But let's not also forget, like, I mean, Texas hasn't been great. But, you know, they're in the same conference as Texas. Oklahoma, who you could argue has a really good offense year in and year out. You know, they've played some really good teams, and they've had to do it a little bit more with smoke and mirrors, I guess, and scheme it to where now if you have the scheme, but you have some guys that are just straight dudes that can go win, like that's a really good feeling as a coach.
I think to Zach's point, we're going to be seeing him calling a defense with Ohio State athletes for the first time, and you can see sometimes coordinators get a little gun shy in the moment. Oh, I'm going to sit back.
Not
and hear-
Jimmy.
Well, I know, but we're going to have to see, right?
But it's also on the flip side, right? You get gun shy or maybe,
Too
too aggressive, right? He's like, hey, man, any of my guys can win one-on-one battles, right? It's how many chances is he going to take, right? It's especially week one against Notre Dame. That's what I'm excited. Like how, you know, from a defensive play calling standpoint, how's he start calling plays as the game goes on?
Well, and a part of that, too, is a conversation you have with your head coach. Because I know Tress, when we were here, like, he'd allow you to be aggressive. And I remember, Berm, you'll remember this. You're too young, and you were playing golf in Laramie. In 2001, they go up to Michigan and win that game up there. A game that no one expected them to win.
Right.
They get a lead early on. And they ran some blitzes, did some other cool stuff at the beginning. And they said in the second half, I remember watching that the next year, I'm like, I thought we were watching the same plays over and over. They go, Jim just said only field AD, like just basic zone, keep everything in front of you. We have a 14-point lead. Our guys are playing hard. They're playing tough. I don't think they can score a lot of points on us if we keep doing this. Just don't give up a massive play where we have one guy, who's going there? Who's going? Oh, there's a guy over top of us.
Yeah, but Bob, you also bring up a defense that on the counterpart, the offense was running the power I and not putting up points, right? Now you've got a defense that can be super aggressive, and on the other side of the ball, you got an offense who should probably average over 40 points a game this year. You know?
They did last year. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the question is legitimate, though. Like, we talk about coaches and the way that they handle things. Jim Tressel was notoriously buttoned up until it mattered and then ran fake punts all the time, right? Like, you're like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you running a fake field goal in this situation?
Where did these offensive plays
had
come from?
Urban Meyer, who was always a go, 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 and then immediately got in big games and puckered, right?
Did the opposite of Trent.
And so you don't know what these coaches are going to do.
Power coming at you.
Yeah.
Ryan Day has done a nice job balancing and staying aggressive to his nature. I think in the big games he's been a part of, but you don't know what the situation is going to be until you get on the field. Notre Dame does not have, and we can obviously talk a lot more about Notre Dame next week, but they don't have the athletes that should be able to out-athlete this Ohio State team. So
especially on the edge.
Right. The only way they're going to beat Ohio State is if the Buckeyes beat themselves or allow themselves to be out-schemed. And I don't think that when you have Ryan Day and Jim Knowles that you should ever be out-schemed.
I don't think there's an out-scheme situation. There's a situation where guys can bust stuff, and that's the only thing I think that he might be worried.
I don't even think it's that. I think you go back to last year. How'd they lose Oregon and Michigan? They got dominated in the run game. I think that's the only way Notre Dame's going to win this game. You got out toughed. You got the ball ran all over you, and you kept our offense off the field, right? That's the only way Notre Dame has a chance.
Isn't that but the offense still had what? 450 yards both those games.
They
scored.
And
They just didn't put it in the end.
A missed pass interference call away from not losing that game. But the point that Zach is bringing up,
the Oregon game, not the Michigan game, in which they were completely dominated.
But they still threw for over 400 yards in that game. Like they were competitive because the offense is so good no matter what. That's also the problem. If you let another team dominate time of possession and run the football at will, that negates Ohio State's biggest strength, which is an offense that nobody else in the country has.
And the other thing, Ryan Day's been outspoken about it since the offseason, is he wanted to bring in a defense coordinator that was basically like a head coach. Ryan is an offensive-minded coach. Granted, he will step in the defense when he needs to, like we saw it last year. But he wants a head coach on the defense side of the ball. So
that's what he calls Jim Knowles. He calls him the head coach of the defense.
Right. And so that's a guy that basically is going to have free reign come September 3rd, right? That's not a guy that the head coach is going to be on the headset, hey, dial it back, hey, take chances. Jim Knowles is going to go into that game with a clean slate, say, hey, I can do whatever I want. It's what is he going to do?
Clear mind, clear heart, clear soul, ready to dominate. You know what I do love, though, is when you get a
mixed metaphors?
Exactly.
Not sure I tracked that one.
I do love when head coaches who are on the offensive side of the ball, who are generally very conservative, because I'd watched Tress say this, and I've seen this before, where they'll like walk over and they'll get really upset about it's almost like I wouldn't say an ego thing, but they'll just light them up. Like give them the light them up signal, go get them, let's see if they can handle it. And I'm not saying Ryan will do that for this. I do have a sense, though, it's a big game. It's the biggest game of the weekend. Opening weekend, Notre Dame's in here. It's a night game. 100th anniversary of the shoe, the O2 team. There's going to be a lot of stuff around it. I'm imagining this game will probably draw 25 million people on air, and there's probably going to be about 50 recruits here or whatever the number is. Berm's been
probably more than that.
Chasing down young.
Yeah,
it'll be more than that.
And checking frequent flyer miles and who's going to be here. I would have a sense that there would be a send a message feel of being an aggressive defense and playing really well, but looking like a defense that guys want to play with. And you're playing the fifth-ranked team in the country. They can run the football. We're going to stop the run. We're going to put them in 3rd and 8. And let's see what their first-year starting quarterback can ultimately do.
I'd really like to ask the voters what they thought about Notre Dame that
led
them being number 5.
Who else you putting in there?
Season polls are so stupid.
Who else?
My question is, who? You look at this, do you really feel that great about Clemson being 4?
I know that their schedule is garbage. So
but that's how you look at Michigan a little bit. They're 6 and 8.
USC.
That's what I'm saying. You don't
put USC in there.
You know nothing about any of those guys except for they were 4 and 8 last year,
right? And that all those players are pretty good when they played somewhere else.
Yeah, it's not just a collection of talent; it's building a team. I mean, I've watched a lot of really, really talented teams not be good. So I'm sitting here looking at this. You can make an argument Baylor could probably be 5th or 6th.
Utah,
Utah. Those are
Utah, teams that are stayed together that have been built from.
Yeah, Utah should be up there.
But again, preseason polls.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that I was talking to Bill Landis about this last week, that it's a top 5. It's 2 versus 5. It's cool that we get to cover that, but I don't believe that Notre Dame is the 5th best team in the country.
But it's saying it's a top 5 matchup gives it a lot of cash.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. But you also, this isn't a preseason football show today, but you look at Notre Dame, you look at Miami, you look at Florida, Florida State, USC. I mean, there are a bunch, Texas. You look at a bunch of big-time programs this year that, hey, it's kind of thumbs up or thumbs down time, right? For a lot of these guys, it's who's going to perform, who's going to step up, and who isn't.
Texas got a number 1 vote first place overall in the coaches.
Blows
Texas
my
is
mind.
back. And I wonder if that was before or after the boosters decided that Quinn Ewers should start.
Okay, explain this to the folks.
Oh boy.
Listen. Explain this to the folks. I don't know if this was on Snappy J's or Slappy J's, whatever you guys have going on.
Hey,
Whatever you want it to be, Bob.
it's not Slappy J's.
Yeah.
That's you got to pay for that.
Only in the Horseshoe Lounge.
Yeah. No, maybe not.
As long as
Anyway,
if you have a wristband.
that's VIP only. Yes, go ahead, Bob.
So Quinn Ewers was named the starter. Our guy, the mullet man, the kombucha tea master, and all those things.
Sure.
But there was a thought. Isn't that what he was? Isn't that his tea?
He is a kombucha investor, equity holder.
But wasn't there a sense that it was going to be
Hudson Card.
2 days prior, Texas reporters and insiders said that Hudson Card
people?
had been named the starting
Would
quarterback.
you put those people on the same level of influence as Austin Ward and Jeremy Birmingham, though?
Well, I mean, it drew a response, whether that was Sark saying that he publicly had to name Quinn Ewers the starter, or he was pushed to do so by the people that dropped some bags of cash to make
so
sure.
has that been leaked out there as well, that we felt like this was then turned?
It's been talked about.
I think the timing of it strongly suggests that Steve Sarkisian did not make that choice alone.
And how it happened was
The SID dropped it
in a press conference where the SID went to the mic and said, "Oh, by the way,
Sark
Quinn
wanted to
Ewers is
give you
starting."
guys a message. Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback. I've never seen that happen.
Never, ever in a million years. Like, was your head coach not named? Even if it's just a random.
That was like a
What was he-
sarcasm. You know
was
what I
he-
mean?
What was he doing that he was too busy to go make that announcement himself? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting reamed out by the big oil bunny. They're on the phone over here. They said Quinn Ewers is the quarterback down here, son.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Are we
you know,
in-
I don't know.
So we're in
that's
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
I don't know.
We went
Maine,
You know, I
Maine
think,
justice. Yeah.
Family.
I think the biggest issue is it goes back to Texas has to step up, just like some of these other schools, Florida and Miami. Some of these other schools really need to step up. And the Texas alumni and the Texas boosters, knowing that Hudson Card had gotten beat out by Casey Thompson last year throughout the season, and Casey Thompson was playing really well, and then Casey Thompson left and transferred. And now you've got a guy that's got all this money who supposedly isn't as good as Hudson Card. There's no way they were going to let Hudson Card be the quarterback. They saw what that Hudson Card was last year. So
Isn't this exactly? I mean, in a
if he's your best option.
isn't that the
well, hey, if he's your best option, but the money boosters, guess what?
isn't that a microcosm of everything that's been wrong with Texas football for the last 15
Yeah,
years?
it has been for a long time. But if they named Hudson Card the quarterback and they knew what they were getting, they want to buy the hype. Texas is waiting for the hype to be like, we're back. This is us.
I mean, obviously, this is a huge, much bigger conversation we could have about NIL and how these boosters and stuff are going to change the way college football is played. Because if you look at a place like Tennessee, for example, and we can really dive down the rabbit hole here,
yeah.
like with
Here we go.
the reported money that's been talked about to high school quarterbacks in the class of 2023, if you are on that roster right now, why the hell would you stay at Tennessee?
Yeah, I'm with
There's no way you're playing.
You're not going to play because
way.
these boosters, if they have the ability to dictate who the recruits are, they have the ability to dictate who's going to play.
Hey, what happens? What happens when that quarterback who's getting all this money, though? We can dive way into NIL. Those businessmen that are throwing the money at these kids. One's when that kid's got 10 interceptions and 4 touchdowns, 6 games through the year. Then what do you do? Hey, that's a bad business decision.
No,
Give me
that's
my money.
poor
back.
coaching.
It's a bad
Get Josh
contract.
Heupel out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the argument.
But-
Is
Yeah.
it poor coaching or a bad player
Knowing what the four of us have either seen or heard from Quinn Ewers
or experienced?
that informs my decision about what's happening there with who's pulling the strings at Texas. And I even thought, well, it's great for Quinn Ewers that he won't have to play the first 2 weeks
Why
because
would
they
they
play
wanna-
Alabama in week 2.
Why would they want to do that to him?
He's going to be murdered on the field by
Wow.
Will Anderson.
Got real dark.
I mean,
Yeah.
it won't be murder because it's football, but he's going to be dead.
I mean, if you guys truly think about it, the kid's really a true freshman this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He should be a true freshman. So it's like you're rolling out this true freshman, week 2 against an Alabama team that defense. I mean, just the team in general.
Yeah.
Elias Ricks, Will Anderson, right? Like you could go down the list. Jordan Battle. Like you can name all these guys that are really good for Alabama, and you're throwing basically your true freshman quarterback out there.
I really lost control of this show like I do every week. I didn't know that this is where it would end, but
We never know where it's going to end.
Yeah, I
It
know.
always it ends,
Don't
right, it ends right where it should have with your guy Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, we're never going to escape him. It's just like having the Tathan conversation all over again. We'll never fully be rid of him in the Horseshoe Lounge.
Why would you want to be? It's fun to talk about.
Is he? I
He's
never
got the best hair in college football.
I never enjoyed it. Anyway, appreciate Nicole Cox, as always, for having us in here to Roosters, the fun casual joint, for the podcast in the Horseshoe Lounge. Congrats on a great golf tournament. I can't wait to be back to it next year. Zach Boren, he's back. Bobby Carpenter, Birmingham. I'm just Austin Ward. We'll see you next week at Roosters. It's a fun casual joint. Have a great week.